there was a very big bit of news this week that you need to know about. That China is trying to get its hooks into Australian politicians. That's not me saying it. It was being said by the people who are in charge of national security in this country. The Federal Police have stepped in and stepped in strongly to talk about this. Here is what the ASIO boss said about the dangers of China trying to get their hooks into the office of MPs and MPs who will go from the backbench to the front of the queue in Beijing.
We see evidence of intelligence services deceptively cultivating politicians at all levels of government who will advance the interests of the foreign countries. In the coming weeks, I will write to all Commonwealth parliamentarians to warn they are attractive targets for those trying to steal our secrets and manipulate our decision-making.
This stuff is frightening. Think about this. In 2020, under the cover of COVID, where we focused on the cases and the this and the that and the this law changing and that law changing and this freedom and that freedom, the boss of our intelligence agency is saying that China, that's the country, China, is trying to infiltrate the offices of the people who write our laws. Now, I have got an awful lot of emails, and a few people mention this on the Facebook page most days, which was, remember that confrontation that happened in the Prime Minister's courtyard a few months ago, when a reporter from Chinese state media, who had people with her who had connections back to the embassy in China, was filming members of the Australian media while the Prime Minister was giving a press conference. If you don't remember, let me jog your memory. This is what happened.
Please don't. Please don't.
Now, the identity of that person has always remained somewhat of a mystery, but the organisation that they work for is fishy because it is state-run media. They do not have free media. Why was someone from state media working with people who had a direct link back to the Chinese embassy filming Australian journalists? They weren't doing it for, in television, what we call cutaways, the little bits that you show of people listening to the person who's talking. No, most likely it was to get faces, to get names, and to start to build some sort of an information archive. Well, we have tried desperately 4 months to try to work out, how did that person ever get into the building? We tried to work out, will they ever be allowed back into the building? Well, thankfully, Senator James Patterson from Victoria is a man who can see the threat that is coming, who can see what the ASIO boss has said. And he has made it very clear that he believes that anyone from Chinese state media should be denied access to the Australian Federal Parliament. Because are they there to gather news or are they there to gather information for the state? Here's what he told a parliamentary inquiry.
We now know that on that day, the 26th of June, we didn't know this at the time, but that 2 members of the Xinhua News Agency were raided by ASIO in connection with a foreign interference investigation. We're now living in an era of state-sponsored disinformation campaigns, and there have been credible accusations that state media journalists have been involved in covert espionage activities all around the world.
Watch this space. We'll have a chat to the Senator next week when he's done with Senate estimates. Who gets access to our Parliament is important. Who gets to be able to stand opposite our Prime Minister, desperately important. Who is gathering information about the people who tell you what goes on in the Parliament is vitally important, especially at a time when every MP is being told, be careful, because they are trying to get the goods on you. Good on the Senator for bringing this up.